Welcome to Optimal Play. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
And we are starting an Arkham Horror Iron Man today.
Yes.
Not the kind that you maybe have heard of where you play a whole campaign in one day. We are setting out to record our first impressions of the entire Scarlet Keys box in one day.
Yes.
So the videos will probably they're going to be by class. I expect they'll be out kind of week by week on the channel, so subscribe if you haven't to Optimal Play. We're also streaming on Twitch, so if you don't follow us on Twitch and want to join us for similar things in the future, twitch.tv/optimalplay. And it's going to be a long day, but we called for some backup.
Yes.
Kyle, another regular on Optimal Play, is off camera right now. Hi, Kyle.
Hi!
But we're going to be rotating him into some of these seats on future videos so that we don't go too... So we don't, I don't know, lose our voices or whatever.
Yeah.
But regardless of some fresh blood coming in, a descent into madness over the course of this video is all but certain.
Most likely. I think... How much energy do you think you have right now?
Oh man, I just got back. We're all just back from traveling, so
Yeah.
I can't imagine that any of us are at more than like 3 or 4
Yeah.
to start.
So.
It's gonna go well, yeah. I see some trauma in our future.
Maybe this is like the last scenario in Carcosa where we're allowed to go under.
I mean, I think we'll have to. So that better be the rules. How are you? What's new with you?
Pretty good. Yeah, like you said, been traveling. I drove up the West Coast and back down, and then also spent 4 days playing board games on Big Bear. So that was
Nice.
super fun. And yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to staying put, but I actually have a work trip to New Orleans in a week. So
Oh, in a week.
or 9
Okay.
days. Yeah.
I was just talking about how I need to do a Blood on the Clock Tower night during October because
Yeah,
of course.
Well,
we'll have to make sure that
because it's
works.
a work trip, it's just Monday to Friday. So
Well, I was gonna be on a Tuesday. Yeah, probably wouldn't be on a Tuesday, but who doesn't want to murder each other on a work night?
yeah.
Okay, I guess we have a lot of cards to get through. I
Yeah.
peeked at ArkhamDB long enough to see that there's, I think, 128.
All right.
So,
Yeah. One per minute.
we're in for a long day. We like to mix up the order and not just go Guardian first every time. What are we starting with?
I suggest we start with Rogue.
Yeah. So why don't we dive on in? There's a new Rogue Investigator.
There is, and I have not seen many, if any, of these spoilers. So
Right. Yeah. That's one of the ways that at least we have fun doing these, and we hope that the videos are entertaining. Is that most of these cards we have never seen before.
Yeah.
We did. We were the ones to reveal a handful of them, and others like I read the preview articles on FFG. Sorry, other content creators. I love you, but I avoided all your preview content. And yeah, so I am aware of Kaimani. I am not aware of how to say their name.
Yeah.
But I think that I saw their text at some point in the past and have completely forgotten it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you introduce us?
all right, so maybe Kaimani Jones, the security consultant, but also seems to be a rock climber, based on the art.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the security consultant is scaling like the wall of a tomb or something, but yeah.
So they've got 3 will, 2 intellect, 2 fight, and 5 agility. They are a criminal, so I guess maybe they're like scaling your building to tell you whether the security in it is good. I don't know.
I mean, skipping down to the flavor text, this doesn't belong to you. That for some reason reminds me of like Indiana Jones. This belongs in museum. Like, are they on like expedition kind of stuff? And I don't know. Are they tomb raiding here?
So they have a fast action to engage an exhausted enemy at your location. No limit on that. And then as a reaction, when you attempt to evade an exhausted non-elite enemy, are you even allowed to do that?
You can, as long as you're engaged with them.
Okay.
That would probably explain
Yeah.
their first ability. Yeah.
Add your intellect to your skill value for this attempt, so that'd be 7 base. And then if you succeed by at least X, discard that enemy. X is the enemy's remaining health. Whoa. That's weird.
Succeed. Okay, succeed by the amount of health they have left.
Yeah.
All right. So for a lot of enemies, this is like succeed by 3-ish,
Yeah. So
and then some you could soften up.
if an enemy had 3 health So with 2 actions, you evade it once with your 5 agility. Then you evade it again with your 7 agility because you're including your intellect. And as long as you succeed by 3, you get rid of that enemy. So that's
for a 3 hit point enemy.
Yeah.
That seems cool.
Yeah. And the Elder Sign is +1. If there is an exhausted enemy at your location, you automatically succeed instead. 8 health, 6 sanity.
Okay. So they have high stamina.
Is that what that's called?
No, I think it is health. I don't know why my brain went to stamina there, but they're just like they can endure some fights. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Interesting. So like enemy management. So evading is obviously one kind of enemy management, but actually removing enemies from the map has generally taken either combat or willpower skills.
Yeah.
And this just uses both of the other 2 in combination to accomplish the same thing ultimately.
But we got to read the back too.
Of course.
So rogue level 0 to 5, tool cards level 0 to 4.
Oh.
So I think that would give them probably a lot of seeker stuff, but their intellect is not very good.
Yeah. See, like fingerprint kit is a tool. I think magnifying glass is like a lot of the basic, kind of the secret staples are tools. So that's interesting.
And then neutral level 0 to 5. So. And then you begin the game with 5 additional experience.
Oh, it's got the Father Mateo aspect.
Interesting.
Huh. With Mateo, I've listened to enough like interviews and stuff about the game to have kind of gathered that was partly because the front of the card was kind of weak. Mateo's not that strong an investigator, or certainly wasn't when he came out. So I wonder if that's the way they are thinking of Kimani also, is that they're a little below the curve, and so here's some experience to to help you get going a little bit. Obviously there's signature cards to look at too, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it seems decent. It's like, it's not like overwhelmingly powerful unless you're, I guess if you face a lot of like 6 health non-elite enemies, which are pretty rare, and you can boost your stats a lot with something like is it Streetwise?
Sure. Yep.
Then it's a pretty. Then they're definitely more efficient than Guardians, but in general, this is going to be at least 2 actions to get rid of enemies, so it's not like overwhelmingly better than Guardians.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah, I think my gut reaction here is I'd rather play Guardian and just kill them. But I'm also I like Guardian's my favorite class. Yeah. I like to kill monsters. This seems like one of my favorite things about being a guardian with a great weapon is that when the big enemies show up that are worth victory points, like it's fun to like they're almost little mini bosses. It's fun to take them down. Kimani, if they can get their skill value high enough, is great at dealing with those enemies, but they discard the enemies.
That's
they would
true.
not go to the victory
Don't
display.
get VP.
Maybe that's another reason that they get bonus experience. The rest of the team is screwed. That's a pretty significant downside to me, though.
But would be great in Forgotten Age, because it also wouldn't give vengeance. So it seems like a very strong investigator.
And they do look like they're climbing the outside of Mayan pyramids. I can't remember what. Oh, it's a made up Eztli. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. a made up faction that also had ruins. But yeah, so that's true. This would fit right in there. I'm gonna check out their signature. Oh, it's a tool. The signature asset. It is a 3-cost asset. That's an item and a tool, and Kimani's deck only. Actions performed using Grappling Hook do not provoke attacks of opportunity, and then double action and exhaust Grappling Hook to take up to 3 different basic actions from the following list in any order: engage, evade, investigate, or move. If you investigate, you use your agility instead of your intellect. Interesting. Okay, like it's not crazy. Converting 2 actions into 3 is like, it is 1 bonus action with the caveat that it has to be used for 3 different basic actions, which is a downside. It's not nearly as powerful as like a Leo DeLuca just saying like do an extra thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd have to investigate for this to be pretty like good. Like,
yeah.
Otherwise, you're spending $3 and an action to play something that like sometimes gives you an extra action.
Right. I do love the flavor, like this grappling hook. Like you throw it at another location, and it like moves you there. It evades an enemy, and it like investigates you something you found like up on that wall that you pulled yourself up
I
to.
really want to see the look on like, you know, Amanda or Mandy's face when they're like looking through these like mythic texts, finding all these clues, and then Kamani's just like, I grabbed a book with this grappling hook, and the book's all torn up, and like, you know, like those seekers are gonna be so mad.
The Necronomicon just has like hook gashes in it. I love that. And what's their weakness?
So Agent Fletcher is a enemy, 2/3/3, humanoid coterie and detective.
Coterie?
That is, I think, a first for Arkham. I've been playing Vampire Rivals, and coterie refers to all your vampires.
Oh, funny. I wonder if that's a word that refers to the like shadowy Scarlet Keys cabal that is a bigger part of the campaign, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
obviously, it comes out later. But I do notice that in the art here, the agent is wearing a red tie.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So it's probably a tie-in. That's my guess.
So they're alert and hunter. So following the theme of like evade characters getting alerts. Weaknesses: preys on Kamani only, and then while Kamani is evading Agent Fletcher, reduce their intellect value to 0, so you don't get that bonus when you're trying to discard them.
So it would be significantly more difficult to discard them using their ability. But just a 2 fight 3 health enemy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing any weapons or something, you can always just shoot them. Or another character can, like a guardian, could very easily just like one shot this with a.
What's Kamani's? No, it's only 2 combat. I was just gonna say, do you include a weapon in their deck to kind of round out their enemy management? I don't know. It's a tough call when the combat is so low.
Yeah, probably only if you're using. I think like sharpshooter lets rogues use their agility, right?
Oh, I don't remember.
I think so.
But yeah, that would help.
Yeah. Or you could backstab this with one shot it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. Well, then from there we have this. The cycles, when we're recording our impressions on these cycles of cards that all come out at once now, it is so daunting. So many cards. I love the new release model still, but man, this is the one trade-off, is that this gets a little exhausting. But let's dive into the rogue cards, starting with a disguise, which I kind of can't believe it took until is this the 9th, if you include the core set, the 9th cycle of Arkham? How did it take that long to have a rogue card that's a disguise? It has a person fitting a blonde wig on their head. Okay. It is a talent. It's a trick, and it's illicit. It uses 4 supplies. And says, action, spend 1 supply, evade. You get +2 agility for this evasion attempt. If you succeed and the evaded enemy is non-elite, it is not ready during the next upkeep phase. And then, now I've already got to refer back to Kamani. Like, this does combo with their ability. Right, like their ability is not action, attempts to evade and discard them if you succeed. Kamani's ability is if you evade by and pass by that much, so you can combine that with like this bonus. This seems good.
Yeah, I don't really like the flavor. I kind of wish a disguise was either like you get another character's ability, like that would be a fun way to disguise it.
It would.
Or that it's like you get to walk by enemies, so it's like you don't have to spend an action, you just like walk by humanoid enemies, and like maybe you have to make like an intellect test or something, but like it seems like it should be actionless.
I agree. This is not the best flavor match, because evasion is not usually flavored as you're like trying to convince something to leave you alone. It's usually flavored as like you're dodging and outmaneuvering them, which a disguise does not exactly help with. But I do think that this is probably a Kamani staple. It's expensive is the one thing, but rogues do have a lot of ways to get money.
It's more, you get 1.3 or whatever uses per dollar you spend initially, which is not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So. Okay. Speaking of econ.
All right. Embezzled treasure. Another illicit item. 0 cost. As a fast action, exhaust embezzled treasure. Move up to 2 resources from your resource pool to embezzled treasure to a maximum of 10. So.
Oh, that's the money is not going in the direction I expected it to go here. Okay.
Forced. When you resign or the game ends, for every 2 resources on embezzled treasure, An investigator of your choice begins the net scenario of the campaign with one additional resource.
What?
So you're saving.
This lets
2
you
to 1.
save resources from one scenario into the next?
Yep.
Wow, that's a really interesting way to use the campaign structure of Arkham Horror. I've never thought of something like this. And that's something that I've thought about a lot, is because Arkham is so unique and interesting with the campaign structure. Is like, what design space does that add that no other game has? I haven't thought of this. This is cool. I love it.
Yeah, I like the idea of like a... and wait, so can you give multiple ones? For every 2 resources, an investigator... So I believe you could do everyone.
Yeah, it looks like if you're in a 3-player campaign and you have 6 resources on this, you could give everyone +1 resource for the next time.
Yeah, I guess you're limited. You can only give away 5.
Right, because it's a maximum of 10 resources on this. Although this is not unique. You could have 2 of these, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Deal out 20 or deal out 10 total. The cost of 20 resources now.
I kind of like the idea of like a Preston that just makes every other character start like the entire rest of the party starts with 10 extra resources every time.
Can Preston move resources straight from his inheritance?
He can
to
spend
this?
an action to do it. So there's
to take
so
them
if you're
from his
already
inheritance.
playing one that wants him to have a lot of money,
right?
You can. Although I guess you have to you also have to gradually put it on here, so you can't just move it all at once.
No, but that was my thought too. Is Preston or whatever rogue, if you're doing the big money and the well connected money talks, right? These other cards that reward you for just hoarding money. Then you play this in kind of the late game and start siphoning off a little bit of money into it late. Because that's always been, to me, a challenging thing about big money, is that you would think that your arc should be like saving up, I'm powerful, but then I also, in the end game, have a few more powerful things to do with it. Because like it just feels bad to end with 18 unspent resources, right? And I think this is a great one, a great way to use those resources in the late game, because it just makes the climb back up in the next scenario that much faster.
Yeah.
Or it lets you spread some of the wealth.
Yeah. Although it is weird, this is a very unselfish rogue card.
That is unusual. Yeah. Huh. It does feel like you should not be able to give this away. But, I'm an unselfish person, so I like being able to play green cards that support
I guess
my
Faustian Bargain, you also, like...
Oh, true.
Give it to other people.
Yeah, they still roll their eyes at you because you just cursed the bag. But... Yeah. Well, next is, another card I'm a little surprised didn't exist until now, Thieves' Kit, which is a 3-cost rogue asset. It's an item, a tool, and illicit. It uses 6 supplies and says, as an action and spend 1 supply, investigate. You may use agility instead of intellect for this investigation. If you succeed, gain 1 resource. And it takes up a hand slot and says, why do I keep these on me? Why? To be better informed regarding the unsavory methods of art thieves, of course. That's good. That's good. I think another Kimani staple, right?
Yeah. Let's see. So let's compare this to lockpicks. So lockpicks, you add them together, whereas this is instead. So lockpicks is higher.
Yeah.
But lockpicks, you don't get the resource, and lockpicks exhaust, so you only get it once.
Yeah, this doesn't exhaust. This has... Well, it has 6 uses, but lockpicks sometimes has less than 6, especially level 0 lockpicks. Doesn't last you that long. And I would call this extremely likely to pay for itself and then some, right? Like, you may not succeed 6 out of 6 times, but you're probably going to succeed more than 3 times.
Yeah. That's true.
So fits right into a big money strategy, too.
I think I like it better than Lockpick 0, because I don't like the unpredictability of, like, Lockpick 0. You can only get 1 use out of some games.
It's a tough sell to spend 3 resources on something that might break the first time you use it.
We'll see if there's an upgraded version of this. If there's not, I think upgrading from this to Lockpicks 1 would be totally reasonable.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm. And, although Kimani could just go straight to Lockpicks 1. They start with 5 experience.
Yeah,
so, plus, at least every campaign that I've been in since Edge of the Earth came out, I think we've run into thick and started with experience anyway. Yeah. And Lockpicks is one of my go-tos for that extra 3. Cool.
Hidden Pockets. It's a 1-cost event. It's an upgrade in Illicit. I think we've only gotten Illicit cards so far.
Yeah, isn't there there's a reason that matters more than usual. I feel like I've absorbed that information from someone's preview or something. Is there either an investigator can run illicit cards that's another color, or there's a card that ties them together? So, like, I think it's not a coincidence that there's so much illicit.
I think Finn can take these out of his discard or something like that.
Yeah, he cares a little bit, but I think we're going to see something in this box that makes illicit matter more than it has in the past.
I know. So upgrade an illicit, fast, play only during your turn, attached to a clothing or armor asset you control. And this does appear to be, well, at least this pocket is holding a flask.
Yep.
But I think it's a different pocket that we're looking at. Attached asset gains, you have one additional hand or accessory slot of your choice, which can only be used to hold an illicit asset.
Oh, so here's one reason illicit starts to matter.
Thanks. It has pockets.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we had. Well, disguise does not use a slot, so this doesn't matter for disguise or embezzled treasure.
Oh, but it matters for Thieves' Kit.
It does. This creates a hand slot you can use for Thieves' Kit.
I'm guessing lockpicks are probably illicit as well, unless you're just a totally, like, above-board locksmith.
True. What I'm wondering is, well, maybe I'd rather just run Relic Hunter. I'm wondering if this helps you run more of the, like, exceptional accessories, the lucky coin, or lucky dice. Why am I struggling to? There's like the black fan. There's a lot of rogue accessories that are very fun and very expensive in experience and very hard to figure out how to use your slots.
The problem right now is that I almost never run rogues that have clothing or armor assets. So unless they're about to reveal some, I don't think it's worth like a 2-card combo to like instead of just getting relic.
Instead of just getting, I agree with you there. So yeah, we'll see what else we see. It's not the next card though. The next card is Hit and Run. It is a tactic and a trick, a 1-cost event that says, fast, play only during your turn. Put an ally asset from your hand into play. At the end of your turn, if that asset is still in play, return it to your hand. Impeccable timing, Mr. Fergus.
Oh wait, so this is what's the card that puts out a gun for the turn?
Sleight of hand.
So this is Sleight of Ally?
Sleight of friend.
That's awesome.
The Hit and Run. I guess the flavor of this is that your friend is like showing up guns blazing in a car and like gunning down somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think like when you have a friend like murder someone for you, it's generally good for them to go away afterwards, right?
Valid.
Like, you're not a very good friend if you're like, can you murder someone for me? And also just like chill here.
Then you let the heat cool down a little bit. Then they can come back and hang out when you play them from your hand later. Where I think you'd most obviously want to go with this is allies with enters play effects, and to me that is usually Seeker.
There are a lot of rogue Seekers.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of rogues.
Thematically, the idea that this librarian is coming in and doing a hit and run for you is a little funny, but
that is true. And we have seen previewed Charlie Kane, the politician that like gets his stats from allies. So this is potentially a card he runs to cheat allies into play early and get their stats when he needs them, or something like that.
But yeah, I think okay, so I'm pretty sure what this card is doing is you're getting your friend to check out a library book for you, and then they're just like leaving the country and never returning that book. So you get to keep the clue.
Love it. Yeah. It is funny to combine this flavor with research librarian stuff. That's exactly what you were referring to, huh? I'm not slow. I'm just drinking beer at noon. This will be fine. We'll get through this day together. So get us through this day. What's next?
I'll take that. It's a 0-cost event. Trick, upgrade, and illicit. Fast. Play when you successfully evade a humanoid enemy or successfully investigate. Play an item asset from your hand, reducing its cost by X, where X is the amount you succeeded by. For a second, I thought it just said announce. I'll take that, which would be more fun.
That would be funny.
But it says attach. I'll take that to that asset. Attached asset gains illicit. So, all right,
interesting.
Let's do the play out of here. So you investigate. Then you succeed
you evade.
Or investigate.
Or successfully investigate. Okay, right.
So you investigate, because that's probably the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. It does not require a humanoid enemy. You succeed by 3. So maybe you use lockpicks, and that's why you succeeded by 3. you play an item asset from your hand, reducing the cost by 3, and then the item becomes illicit. So
you can throw your grappling hook into play at a reduced cost, and it becomes illicit, meaning this sounds dangerous, like a bad idea, but you can keep your grappling hook in your hidden pocket.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, so, for a fast, if you're, I think you have to save 2 for it to be worth it, because fast gain 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
And if you succeed by 3 or more, it's awesome.
But yeah, I think it's a long walk to get a little bit of a discount. Basically, I guess it's a free action.
That's what I'm saying.
I see. I was gonna say I would mostly run this if I cared about making cards that were not illicit for some reason, but maybe that's not the only reason to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Let's say that you want to put out 2 lockpicks or something, or lockpicks in a thieves kit. The fact that you can use the first one to get the second one for free, basically, is pretty nice.
Right, and it's fine if the item was already, or if the asset was already illicit. Yeah. Oh no, I was right to say item. It has to be an item. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the flavor is that it becomes illicit because you stole it from someone. Right. I'll take that. No, I will say from the title, I really thought this would be something that lets you take things from the other players.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disappointed it's not.
It's true. Yeah.
And then, oh man, already love this card first name. Kicking the Hornet's Nest. It's a 0-cost rogue event that is Gambit and Tactic traded. It says, search the top 9 cards in the encounter deck for a non-elite enemy and spawn it engaged with you instead of its normal spawn location. Then discover 1 clue at your location and gain X resources, where X is that enemy's health value. Shuffle the encounter deck. Oh, but this is not like replacing your Mythos phase draw, like on the hunt or something. Right? This is drawing an extra encounter card to get these benefits of discover a clue and gain some resources. I love it, but kicking the Hornet's Nest is totally my playstyle.
I mean, pretty good with Tony, because he can make even more money by putting a bounty on it.
True.
I think aside from Tony, I don't know. I mean, I guess Kaimani can get rid of it with evasion.
Yeah. I think that this is still something to consider for their deck.
But there's a number of guardians or guardian-like characters. Leo. Take this. That's pretty good for Leo.
What's cool is you can you're searching. It's only 9 cards. But you're searching, so you have some agency into hopefully you don't get stuck with that really bad enemy, right? And you can take one that I needed 3 resources. I know just the one to pick.
Well, also if you're Leo or Tony, you can search for a VP enemy. Kaimani probably not, but
yeah, good point. It can let you dig. All right, so this is basically Delve Too Deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I love it even more. Yeah. Cool. I think this is a cool card.
All right. Quick getaway. So
wow,
after you kick the Hornet's Nest, and you're like, oh crap, I don't actually have a way to deal with this enemy.
Oh man, we have You've brought a friend in for a hit and run. You've stolen something. You've kicked the Hornet's Nest, and now you're making a quick getaway. Loving the rogue flavor on these cards. Yeah.
So this is a 2-cost event. It's a trick. So Rita can also play this. And I think kicking the Hornet's Nest, can't Mark play that? And he's great at killing stuff.
Oh, since it's a tactic, yes. Yeah.
So quick getaway trick, fast. Play when an enemy attacks you. You get to evade. Attempt to evade the attacking enemy. If you succeed, cancel that enemy's attack. And I think you also evade it? Does that... I guess they ready after they attack anyway, I think. So.
Yeah, I think whether it exhausts at that point is kind of moot.
Yeah.
Unless... Well, it's not moot if you're Kimani, right? Because this could cause you to discard it from play entirely. And I think that would still work.
Well, no, she has to evade someone who's already exhausted. So
so they wouldn't be attacking. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But it would Rita. Rita would do a damage to them, and cancel the attack.
True. Yeah. So I think the fact that it's still a successful evade can matter in a handful of reasons. There's pickpocketing can trigger like that kind of stuff.
I mean, because if you don't have evade stuff, this is a bad card. Like, it costs twice as much as dodge and doesn't always work.
Agreed. Yeah, if you're just playing this as a roundabout way of canceling an enemy attack, I think you have better options. It does have 2 agility icons, which is always, when a card has a double icon, I will always consider it if it's a little weaker, but the card pool is so big that you have other options for that too.
Yeah.
And then moving on to calculated risk. This is a rogue skill. Off the bat, it's a rogue skill with no icons on it, so that's going to be interesting. It's a gambit and faded, and says max 1 committed per skill test. Commit only to a test you are performing of any type, and only if it's your turn. Calculated risk gains a wild icon for each action you performed this turn, including this one. After this test ends, end your turn. Oh, right, because it's faded. I didn't process that faded pretty much always means it's going to end your turn.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
There are a few other cards with that trait that do similar things.
This is like that economy card, but for skill icons. There's
watch this one that you can gamble.
No, rogues have one that's like literally you get $1 for every action you take.
Payday?
Maybe it's Payday.
Something like that? Yeah. Kyle off camera is giving us the thumbs up. Yeah.
I was really hoping Kyle was just like mad. He was like, "Oh, these idiots! They don't know Payday."
I had to look. I had to change my angle a little bit to tell whether it was a thumbs up or a middle finger. Right? There's the middle fingers. I think it's bad.
Yeah, I think like how the Guardian card that gives you 3 icons for your first action is often pretty good. Getting like 3 or 4 for your last action, it seems not as good.
But this isn't resources. This is wild.
No, I'm saying the Guardian one.
Oh, you said resources. It said it gives you resources, but I know what you mean. Right.
Yeah.
Right. The is it leadership?
I feel like it's easy. It's not leadership. It's take the initiative.
That's the one. Yes.
I feel like it's easier to be like do your really important test first than to do your really important test last.
True. The other weird thing about Take the Initiative is that it has to be the first out of anyone's actions, and this doesn't care whether you go first or last in the turn order.
Yeah.
So this is a little more flexible in that respect. But I think that this bending over this far backwards, but ideally gaining extra actions, lining it up so that whatever you want all these icons for is last. And it says end your turn, so you can't even play fast stuff that you played during your turn, like after.
And it's dead in the Mythos phase, which Take the Initiative is always 3 in the Mythos phase.
True, yeah, this is bad in the Mythos phase.
Difference.
Yeah, I don't think that it's worth all that hassle for a medium-sized handful of wild icons.
Yeah.
So, all right, they can't all be winners.
I guess maybe if Double or Nothing was still legal, making a deck based around getting this to 5 and like
then
Double or Nothing would be
and then
cool.
pouring that into shotgun's almost like not even going to take advantage of all those icons. But in my head Double or Nothing was going to double these icons. That's not what you're talking about. That's just passing a huge Double or Nothing test to do whatever else. Yeah, you're right. I could see that being fun. I found you something for your hidden pocket. Take a look at the next card.
Oh, Stylish Coat. It's 2 cost, 1 XP. Item in clothing. As a reaction, when you gain 1 or more resources during your turn via another player card effect, exhaust Stylish Coat to gain an additional resource. Dress for the job you want, you say. What if the job I want is yours? And it only soaks 1 and 1, so this is more of an econ card than a armor.
Right, which I think in the flavor of a stylish coat, you're not exactly expecting it to protect you from the ghouls. It is interesting. You don't see a lot of sanity on body slots, though, so it's nice to have that option. Like, this could have been just 1 damage and null sanity.
Well, I think the other like stylish clothes card is also 1 on 1.
Fancy. Fine.
The one that parlays.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Clothes.
Fine clothes. That's the one. Yeah, we are real Arkham experts today. I think this seems great. It's a little bit of a build around. Did you say, by the way, this is level 1? We're up to the experience cards.
Yeah,
okay. This is our first one, right? Calculated risk, it was 0. So this combo is great with the Thieves Kit that gives you a trickle of resources, right? And that would be spread out across multiple
Investments
turns.
also, isn't that 1 per turn?
Investments is the one that you are putting 1 on that card per turn, and then you have to discard it from play to claim it. So I don't think that. Okay. I think you would get 1 additional resource when you cash it in, but that's not that interesting. Jenny, an investigator that I don't think I have said the name of in years, this I think just gives her an extra resource every round from her own investigator ability. She's a player card. This seems like a shoe-in to Jenny. And a flavor fit with Jenny.
I like that.
Works.
That's cool.
I think so. Yeah. You gain, Oh, my only question. This is if you gain them during your turn. Does she gain her extra resource during her turn or during the upkeep?
It's during upkeep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay. But yeah, I think I can't name any others, but I feel like there must be lots of cards that work well with this.
I think every time you took your inheritance, like if you're playing one that takes 4 from Preston every turn, this would make it 5.
This would be +1 every time you claim his inheritance.
Yeah.
Or,
so it would help you have extra money for giving it to everyone else.
Right. And it is just +1 to all of your econ events, to your Faustian Bargain, Emergency Cash. Sneak By, the one that is gain some resources and do an evade action, right? Like, it is +1 to all those. So if you're playing a big money rogue that is running 6 of those events or something, you're likely to trigger this a lot of times on that alone. I think I like this. I'm interested to try it. Whoa! He was mentioned in flavor text earlier, but I didn't see this coming. It's a lower level version of Chuck Fergus, who I think was introduced in Winnie's starter deck, right? As a level 5 ally that interacts with the tricks and tactics.
I think, Winnie might be right.
Yeah. So this version of Chuck Fergus is a level 2 4-cost ally and criminal. Takes up the ally slot. And it says, when you play a tactic or trick event, exhaust Chuck Fergus to choose one. That event gains fast. That event costs 2 fewer resources to play. Or you get +2 skill value while performing a skill test during the resolution of that event. To me, trying to remember what Chuck Fergus does, the main difference is this is choose 1 instead of choose 2.
Yeah, right? I think they're identical. I think, this might even be cheaper? Or no, it's more, I think... Chuck Fergus might have cost 3.
I kind of thought you're right. What you said first was right. He might cost 5, but
I think he's 5 XP, 3 cost.
Oh, okay. Well, I think this card's probably great.
Yeah, I think. I'm trying to think. I really like the original Chuck Fergus, and definitely fast plus 2 fewer was probably the most common one. But I think even if it's just cost 2 fewer. Or fast, that's pretty solid.
I think that he's, I don't know, this doesn't blow my mind, but his combo with hit and run, I had mentioned that I would mostly want to hit and run with comes into play effects, but he could interplay, do this ability, and then leave play for much cheaper, right? So it's actually, obviously you're spending a card here, but paying 1 for hit and run, and you could use it to discount an event by 2. Or make an event.
It's a 2-card combo to save $1.
Yeah, but in a pinch, or it can make an event fast that would not have been fast.
I don't love him that much.
Not worth it.
I like the interplay effects of Seekers a lot more.
All right. Well, I tried. We'll find something good with hit and run.
All right, Dirty Fighting. This is a 3-cost, 2 XP, talent, trick, and illicit. Limit 1 per investigator, so you probably don't have one, huh?
I do have one in my hand. There were 2 copies included, just limit 1 per investigator, yeah.
While attacking, parlaying, or attempting to evade an exhausted enemy, you get +2 skill value. So this is definitely for Kamani, but could also be good if you like attacking enemies after they're evaded.
Yeah,
that's a more common thing than evading enemies after they're evaded.
That is true. And parlaying them, not out of the question of being useful. It would usually be in very specific scenarios, yeah.
Reaction. After you evade an enemy, exhaust Dirty Fighting, take a fight action against that enemy. Oh, ignore the aloof keyword for this attack.
Because Kamani can... they can use their fast ability to engage aloof enemies, right? No, they'd have to be exhausted. It's engage an exhausted enemy.
This is a Rita card. This is the first non-event trick. This is a trick asset.
That was actually on another card in this pack, I think.
This is the first one I've noticed.
I could swear I saw it. Yeah, disguise is also a trick.
Oh, that's crazy.
Rita can wear a disguise, yeah.
But, I don't know if she cares about that, but, maybe she does, but she certainly loves, I get to evade someone, do a damage, then I get to shoot them with a bow at +2 skill value, and it's a free action.
Seems good. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. And then now, okay, it took me a second to figure out why you ignore the aloof keyword. It's because if you evaded an aloof
Yeah.
enemy, you would no longer be able to attack
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because it's aloof. Then starts applying. So that I dig the flavor of the card. It's like you're like knocking them on the ground and then kicking them while they're down.
Yeah.
Or threatening them if you do the parlay, something like that.
So yeah, this is. I mean, it's okay in Kaimani. Like, well, we'll see if you're building some kind of weapon build with Kaimani. Maybe with, I think Sharpshooter lets her fight, or them fight. But yeah, to me, it seems most obviously useful in Riga.
Yeah, agreed. That's a great call out. It's really interesting that that's a trick.
Also, I guess very good in Finn because the evade is a free action. So basically, lets you do a free fight too. So if you're using Finn's guns or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cool card. And then speaking of tricks, breaking and entering level 2. It says it's a 2-cost level, I just said level 2, rogue event that says investigate, add your agility value to your skill value for this investigation. If you succeed by 1 or more, you may automatically evade an enemy at this location. If you succeed by 3 or more, return breaking and entering to your hand at the end of the turn. This attack does not provoke attacks of opportunity. This action, rather. So this is one that I think the level 0 version was probably also in the Winnie deck. Like, this has been kind of the suite of tricks that Chuck Fergus feels intended to go with. So it's probably no coincidence that there's a new version of this in the same box. This seems great.
So you're spending 2 to both investigate and evade, and your stats are really high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then potentially, if you succeed by 3 or more, you get it back again and can play it again, paying for it unless you have Chuck Fergus to discount it down to 0 cost.
Yeah.
Which, if you have Chuck Fergus and this, or I'm guessing there might be new versions of some of these other similar trick events, if he's discounting them to 0 and then they're returning to your hand, that feels really good.
Yeah. I was going to say that the other way you could pay for this is pickpocketing, but I don't think you can actually trigger it on an automatic evade.
Oh, interesting.
Or, you can maybe trigger it, but you can't trigger the succeed by 2 part of it. Because when you automatically evade, I don't believe that you evade by a certain amount.
Or you don't succeed by a certain amount. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So I don't know if that's...
But Chuck Fergus, does well.
Hey, you were looking for an upgraded Thieves Kit to be in the box.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So this is still 3 costs, but now it's 3 XP. It's still got 6 supplies. As an action, you can spend a supply to investigate. So you use agility instead of intellect, and you get +1 skill value. And then if you succeed by 2, you get 2 resources. So it does not actually compress the clues or like increase the total amount of clues you get.
No, it doesn't, does it?
It just makes you more money.
Yeah, and gives you +1 to your skill value. And check out this flavor text. This is a follow-on to the previous flavor text, right?
Oh, right.
This is different from level
cool.
0. Yeah. Okay, fine. They're mine after this whole like. I'm better informed about art thieves tactics. I think the only card that I have noticed before this have a change in flavor text when you upgrade it is the sledgehammer. That goes from 20 to 25 pounds of pure murder, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I love that they're doing this. I've clocked that as kind of a missed opportunity in the past to not change the flavor text on upgraded cards. I would say that when you were summarizing it, though, you sounded a little lukewarm on it, and I kind of am too.
Yeah, I mean, I generally am not spending 3 XP in Rogue just to make more money. I mean,
this can be, if you're succeeding by 2 regularly, this is a lot more money. This costs 3 and generates 12.
Yeah, and maybe in a succeed by 2 type deck, maybe it's worth it because like you put in like 3 other skill cards to this that also care about succeeding by 2.
Yeah, that's an archetype I haven't thought about for a little while.
Yeah.
That kind of had just reached like decent and then, I don't know, left my radar again.
Like for example, Winifred, if you're keep on committing opportunists to get her card draw, then maybe the fact that this comes with the innate +1 and it tries to get you to +2 and it funds you doing streetwise to keep succeeding by 2. So to me, the original Thieves Kit is just like a general, like I would probably play that over Lockpick 0, whereas this seems more of a specific deck type.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'm whelmed. Wow, love the name of his next card, Trigger Man.
Do you think he's friends with Hatchet Man?
I must be, yeah. Although, if it was like Barrel Man or another part of the same weapon, I feel like that would be a better fit. Anyway, level 3, 4 cost, Rogue Ally. He's also a criminal, and says, oh, here we go. Here's an enters play effect. After he enters play, attach an illicit asset in your hand to Trigger Man. Oh, but that's not something you want to then return him to your hand. Never mind, I take it back about him being our hit and run candidate. But then you can, as a fast ability, exhaust Trigger Man and spend 1 resource to resolve an action ability on an attached asset without paying its action cost, and resolve that ability with a base skill of 4. Okay, so you're meant to attach an illicit gun to him, and he fires the gun for you, right? And it becomes fast once per turn, and you get a skill value of 4. So that if a lot of rogues don't have high combat, so.
Yeah, but 4 still is like...
Still not great.
Like, for 3 XP?
Yeah.
And you only... Like, there's no way to use this item more than once, right? Like, it's not that you have the option to spend an action to use the item on Trigger Man. You can only do the first,
Oh, interesting. Right? That is... It is not in play in a normal way. Yeah, so he can fire it, but you...
Oh, wait. What is this parentheses? It is considered to be in play.
I glossed over the italics. It does clarify that, yes. So, yes, you can take the gun from him and fire it with your own actions. Okay. All right. I guess. I would assume that that's what that text leads us to conclude. Mm-hmm. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to spend a resource... Like, he costs 4 and 3 experience, and to get for him to fire the gun, you have to pay him a resource? Yeah. That seems steep. I don't think this is that good.
So, and if you hit and run the Trigger Man, any asset on Trigger Man when he returns to hand would probably be discarded, right? Like, it doesn't say... I don't think that... At least most games I play, if you have things that are returning to hand and things are attached to them, they generally
it gets discarded from play, I think. I guess that there is... Yeah, the way that it says it's considered to be in play and under your control is a weird... I'm not sure exactly what that modifies about how you interact with an attached card.
I think it means you can use the action ability, would be my guess.
Yeah, I think if Trigger Man, if you could use hit and run to drop him into play, basically play an illicit asset for free and then leave it in play when he returned again, that would be too strong. Yeah. So that's probably not it. But unless that's a thing, I think he's underwhelming.
Yeah, so it is worth noting, we focus on Hit and Run. If you do not hit and run Trigger Man, and let's say you put out a gun with 3 or 4 bullets, you can, over 3 or 4 turns, exhaust him to use it without an action.
Yes, and I think that's the main purpose, right? He's a quasi-bonus action. It just has to be used on the gun you've given him.
Yeah.
But paying a resource every time and all of that, I don't know. I'll be interested to see if other people are higher on this than me, but I'm pretty lukewarm.
I think he should have been 2 XP because Leo DeLuca could have played him, and Leo DeLuca does like having lots of guns and throwing stuff. Or not Leo DeLuca, the other Leo.
Anderson. Right? Yeah. I was like, Leo DeLuca's playing other allies now? Where did I miss that version?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, was that one you?
I don't know who read Trigger. I think I read Trigger Man.
Yeah.
So you're reading this one.
Underworld Market.
That's a card that I don't have. There must have only 1 copy? Okay.
So this is 2 XP permanent. It's a connection and illicit. Have we had connections before?
Maybe not. Netrunner has connections.
Yeah. Permanent exceptional. You get plus 10 deck size.
Oh. What? I love this.
Yes.
I love a big, inconsistent deck.
Yep. Reaction. Before drawing your opening hand, choose 10 illicit cards from your deck, shuffle them together, and place them next to Underworld Market as your market deck.
When I said I heard that illicit was going to be important, this must have been it.
You had some Underworld connections.
Something like that. I don't think I've actually read this card, though. So you're adding 10 cards to your deck, but then you're pulling them out into a separate deck.
It's like Joe Diamond.
Yeah.
So you have a 10-card illicit deck. Reaction. At the start of your turn, reveal the top 2 cards of your market deck. You may spend a resource to draw one of them.
Oh.
Place the rest on the bottom in any order. So it's like Joe has this extra deck that also saves some money. you have this extra deck that actually costs you money,
But
but
you
it's
get-
not like your main ID or anything, and you get to look through 2 of them.
Yeah, you get extra draws. You get to choose between 2 cards, and also looking at 2 out of a deck of 10. If you've put key cards in there that
Yeah.
you want to make sure you find, that is a pretty good way to find it.
And it's interesting that if you don't pay for either, they both go to the bottom. So you filter
You'll still see new
through
options.
the same amount.
Yeah, and so you do get to look at them before you decide whether to spend that resource.
Yes.
It's an option to save
Yep.
the resource entirely.
Yep.
That seems good. I love this thing.
Yeah, it is 4 XP, which is a lot, but
Kimani can put it in their deck from the
Oh,
start with their
yeah.
bonus 5.
yeah. It's pretty cool. I like that. I feel like this is the type of thing that, I would expect to be an investigator like Joe. So
True.
having it as a card is fun.
Agreed. It's cool to have things. I think that's well observed that this feels like an investigator ability, but instead it's just something that any investigator that can pay for it and take green cards can do. I love it. I think this is awesome.
Yep. And definitely, certainly like Preston or Jenny, the extra 1 resource, no big deal at all.
Agreed. Yeah. And you can just wear your stylish coat and generate a bunch of extra resources to break even, right? Through something.
Yeah.
Have you heard of customizable cards?
Yes, I think we previewed one of them in the pool.
We did preview one of them in the pool. It was, now the name of it escapes me. It was a secret one that I found quite underwhelming.
Yes.
But I did see the FFG article that had a few more, and I think that these are potentially really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So just if you're if you've been under a rock or you're deciding whether to buy the Scarlet Keys or something, and this is the first you've heard of customizable cards, they have this fancy.
Do you not have this one either?
Did I skip that? Oh, it was. Forget all that. We have one more card to do. Then we'll segue cleanly back. You won't even notice back into that customizable conversation. Yeah, I had set it down because you had a card in front of it on your side and not me. Anyway, Clean Sink is actually our next card. It is not customizable. It is a level 4 0-cost rogue event. It's a gambit and a trick. Fast, play only during your turn. For each exhausted non-swarm enemy at your location, choose a non-swarm enemy. That's weird to have to caveat that Dream Eater's exclusive mechanic.
Yeah.
Anyway, at your location, choose a different option. Gain 2 resources, deal 2 damage to that enemy, discover 1 clue at your location, or draw 1 card. For each exhausted non-swarm enemy.
Oh, but you can choose the same option multiple times.
No, this says choose a different option.
Oh, got it.
So you can only damage one of the enemies. I think that this would, if you could find a way to exhaust several enemies and deal 2 damage to all of them or something,
Yeah.
that would be really exciting. This one requires a different option. That said, only 2 of them are situational. Deal 2 damage and discover 1 clue are things that you may or may not find useful. Gaining 2 resources and drawing a card are always good options.
True, but they're also there's a lot of other cards that do those things.
Of course. Yeah. I think this card's probably a trap. I think this is one of those cards that you read and you're like, this can do... all I have to do is play Clean Sneak and I'll get 2 resources, deal 2 damage, discover a clue, and draw a card. And the stars aligning for you having 4 exhausted enemies at your location is just going to happen so seldom that is just a trick that your brain wants to play.
Yeah, this is a weird one because Rita can't play it, and Chuck Furcus can't make it fast, and Chuck Furcus can't make it cheaper. So I don't really understand.
Oh, funny.
Why is this not a 2-cost 2 XP event? And then it would actually combo with everything else.
That's funny that Chuck does not combo well with this trick because it's already fast and he can't discount it. Yeah, and there's no skill test.
Yeah, there's
He literally doesn't.
It literally
interact
does not
with
combo with either Chuck or Rita.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's a weird thing to have in the same box as a Chuck Fergus redo.
So,
yeah,
but free card design, Maxine. You can send me a check, but just 2-cost 2 XP version of this card makes way more sense.
So anyway, customizable cards. They're cards that you can add to your deck at level 0, and then either in your initial deck or if you don't spend any experience on them, you're paying 1 like any other level 0 swap. But then they come with this...
I thought that you were allowed to put them in your deck and spend the XP.
As long as you're also spending experience on them, yeah. But yeah, they have this differently shaded back on this checklist card that is not playing in the lights as I try to point it at the camera. But essentially, you can spend your experience to check the boxes on this card, and they give you several extras so that you don't have to feel too bashful about literally writing on your Arkham cards. I plan to. I'll take a Sharpie to these things. And you kind of level them up and choose in what ways they change as you spend your experience. Do you, before we even look at them, like, are you a fan of Customizable?
It's a little ridiculous, but it's kind of cool. Like
that's well said, I think. A little ridiculous, but kind of cool.
We're probably at the point in this game where it's fine to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It is. We are very deep into this as an LCG. Ridiculousness is maybe encouraged at this point. Yeah, it is like a brain burner. Like, we're about to look at these and just, there's going to be so much text to read and so many decisions to consider. We're going to have to do our best to keep it brief because we have 128 cards to read today. But, yeah, they're really hard to grok and to really kind of, like, see an obvious plan for them, I think. And I don't really see myself wanting to put probably more than one in a deck and having to think about which one am I spending experience on versus all these other cards and everything during a campaign. Anyway, that said, let's look at one. Mm-hmm. Read us Damning Testimony.
All right. It's an item. It's illicit. It's customizable. It's got 3 evidence. As an action, exhaust Damning Testimony. Choose an enemy at your location. Investigate.
Any location.
Any location. Yeah. Investigate your location.
Okay.
If you succeed, you may spend 1 evidence to discover 1 additional clue at the enemy's location. Whoa.
Oh. So this is 3 times and it doesn't have to be an exhausted enemy. I was rereading this. Mm-hmm. 3 times it is a remote clue discovery at no additional cost other than the fact that you played an expensive asset. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
But other than that, it's all upside. You're not having to jump through any extra hoops.
If for some reason, if you have some card that's like free action to use a illicit item, you don't even have to spend the evidence to discover one. Like, you can just exhaust this to investigate your location.
I think that this is a little bit rough for Kimani because they would want to be investigating using things like thieves' tools and lockpicks that help them get past the fact that they have 2 intellect.
Yeah.
Right? So and since this is an action, you won't be combining other things with this.
Maybe one of the customizations is use agility.
Oh, I guess we better just get to that. That's a good point. Well, I guess you're reading us this card. Take a deep breath.
So, for 1 XP, you can obtain a search warrant while investigating Mar-a-Lago using Damning Testimony. You may ignore any effect or keyword on the investigated location that would trigger.
Okay, so it lets you get right through haunted effects and similar.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you don't need a search warrant. Instead, you should fabricate evidence, which costs 2 XP.
I'm falling in love with this as a Damning Testimony than the flavor of all these options, like search warrant, fabricated evidence.
All right.
That's fun.
So according to Fox News, Damning Testimony enters play with 2 additional evidence on it.
Okay.
Then for 2 XP, you can blackmail. You get +2 intellect while investigating using Damning Testimony. So it's not using agility, but it makes it a little better for Kimani.
Yeah, if they're getting a +1 intellect from an ally or something, like suddenly they're at 5 with that.
For 3 XP, you can extort. When you successfully investigate using Damning Testimony, you may spend 1 evidence to automatically evade the chosen enemy.
Oh, and that's an enemy at any location that you have chosen.
Yep.
Potentially exhausting it or potentially evading it could save someone else.
Yeah.
Or stop them from hunting to you. Like, that's pretty powerful.
Yep. For 3 XP, you can survey. You may use Damning Testimony's ability to investigate the chosen enemy's location instead of your location. Yeah,
it basically is like if that location has a lower shroud, you could use that instead.
Well, or if your location has no clues.
Oh, because you would get both clues there then.
Yeah.
I see. That does seem like a 3 experience seems steep for that.
Yeah. And then for 4 XP, you can expose. When you successfully investigate using Damning Testimony, You may spend X evidence to discard the chosen enemy if it's non-elite. X is that enemy's remaining health.
You're definitely probably not taking that until you have done fabricated evidence and have extra evidence tokens. There's a lot. This uses the word evidence a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and one other thing about customizable cards is you can put 2 copies of Damning Testimony in your deck, and when you spend the experience to check the boxes on here, it is upgrading both copies. So like when we say like, yeah, Expose is expensive at 4, but it's kind of like it's 2 for each of your copies, right?
I think my favorite here is if you already have high intellect, like you're a Finn or a Trish, just getting the extra 2 evidence with fabricated evidence.
Yeah, suddenly turning this into getting 5 free clues remotely. I mean, with the caveat of you have to line up enemies where you want to get the clues, but that seems very good. I think that this is a decent card with just fabricated evidence, if you have good intellect already.
Yeah.
And then you could spend 2 more... I don't know if that probably played on the mic. That was like a low-flying helicopter that just went over. You could spend 2 more on blackmail also to really shore up that skill.
Sure. Yep. Question. Search warrant does not prevent attacks of opportunity, or does it?
No. Nothing about this prevents attacks
So none of these make it better at like investigating your current location.
True. Other than the +2 intellect. Technically makes you better at investigating your current location. But,
True.
But nothing gets extra clues at your current location or anything like that. Yeah.
But blackmail is interesting because blackmail means that it's still useful even when it doesn't have evidence. You can always just exhaust it to get +2 investigation, which is interesting.
Oh, and you only have to spend you may spend the evidence if you succeed to gain that extra clue. Oh, that is very interesting. That this becomes just a repeated +2. That starts to make this an alternative to something like lockpicks, which is good because it's a hand slot. So you're maybe making that decision, right?
I guess I think there still needs to be an enemy in play. Like I don't think you can exhaust it if there's no enemy in play.
True. Yeah, because part of the cost of the ability is to exhaust it and choose an enemy at any location.
So you're just like waiting for an enemy to show up
so that you can rat them out. Yeah. That's cool. I would say more exciting than the Seeker one we previewed.
Yep.
I don't think it's the best card in the world, but I think it's a cool customizable thing. Then there's 2 more. I don't know for sure whether there's 3 of these in every class, but it sure seems like there's a lot of them in the box. I saw you sorting through all the customizable cards. It was a thick stack of the.
It's in every class.
Yeah, it is? Okay. Whew. Well, here's number 2 for Rogue. Friends in Low Places. It is a 0-cost event that's a favor, and then is customizable. And this says that so I'm going to have to look straight onto the Friends in Low Places customizable card, because this says, when you purchase Friends in Low Places, choose and record a trait on its upgrade sheet. Oh, so the very first thing you do at no additional cost is write a trait on its sheet, and then we don't yet know how that matters. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. For each looked at card with the chosen trait, you may spend 1 resource to add that card to your hand.
Oh.
Shuffle the remaining cards into your deck. Pleasure doing business with you, Ms. O'Banion. So this, if you do build a deck with lots of illicit cards or something, this could have you draw quite a few of them. Or if you've built a trick deck. Yeah, so this is a good choice. Without looking at the other customizes, which we'll get to in a second, seems like a great choice if you have built your deck around a trait.
Yeah. Yep. Sadly, Rita can't take this, but if you're playing for tricks, but if you're playing a Chuck Fergus deck, this seems like probably very good.
I'm a little surprised that this doesn't gain the trait. Because then it would let you put it into any of the investigators that can take a trait thing, which I think would be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's how we can modify this. We can make our Friends in Low Places helpful. When you play Friends in Low Places, you may choose another investigator at your location to resolve its effects.
Oh, that's fun.
That is fun, except it would be another investigator looking for the trait that you pre-chose, so you would have to really plan ahead. Right? Yeah, so you'd be like running this in your deck specifically to help. It's not a flexible, like, I'll decide who to play it on each time I draw it. Interesting, okay. You can make your friends versatile, choose another trait, and there's a blank to write it in. When you play Friends in Low Places, you may choose one of the looked at cards with both chosen traits to add to your hand without spending 1 resource. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Does that, so it lets you get a card for save a resource on a card if it's both traits. To me, that seems kind of throwaway. But does this also now make 2 total traits and you can buy any of them? Or is this a different choice that's used for a different purpose?
I interpret this as only mattering if it has both, but it is a little vague.
Well, you know what? It says here in Friends in Low Places, I didn't notice, for each looked at card with the chosen trait or parentheses S, so trait or traits.
Oh.
I think it doubles the number of targets, or doubles the traits that this targets, which seems very good.
Yeah, it becomes much better then, for sure.
You can have Bolstering Friends, which makes each card added to your hand by friends in low places gain a wild icon at the end of the phase. Until the end of the phase. That makes more sense. You can have Clever Friends. Instead of shuffling the remaining cards into your deck, you may place each of them on the top of your deck in any order. You can have Prompt Friends. Friends in low places gains fast and... Oh, this wasn't already fast? I guess not.
Nope.
And play during any fast window. You can have Experienced Friends. Increase the number of cards looked at by 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have Swift Friends. You may play one of the cards added to your hand, paying its cost. And there's no really high cost upgrades here. They went from 1 for helpful to 3 for experience and Swift.
I don't get, why is Prompt less XP than Swift? Because they both save you an action, and Prompt actually just seems more flexible to me.
I don't know. Swift, being able to play that card and get that effect is something that Prompts doesn't give you.
No, you can definitely, like, with the action that you get with Prompt, you can play the card that you drew.
Well, the action that you get, like, still, you might still be playing this at the end of your turn or on somebody else's turn.
No, but, like, if it's your last action,
Uh-huh.
if you have Prompt, this is fast, so you can play the card you draw. If you have Swift, you can play the card you draw. Like, it's the same.
Yeah, but Prompt lets me play this during your turn, or during the Mythos phase, or during a skill test, right? Like, so.
But it also makes this fast, so it gives you the action to play
Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, the action is not relevant. You can play it in lots of other times when.
I just mean, like,
like, if this is Prompt and Swift, you can play if this is
That's
Illicit,
true.
you can play a gun during the Mythos phase.
But, like, if you don't have either, Prompt is, I think, 100% of the time better than Swift. Like, I don't see any scenario where if you have only 3 XP and you can only pick one of them, I can't see any scenario where Swift is ever better than Prompt.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
So, like, I feel like the XP should be swapped. Like,
Potentially, yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay, I like this. It's interesting. It doesn't do anything. Like, this is all a very wordy. This is like 23 lines of text or whatever for a card draw card.
Yeah.
Like, it is. There's a lot of squeeze, and I don't know if there's enough juice to, like.
yeah, although they did just taboo that one card that, like, can draw you up to 5 or whatever, depending on cost. So maybe people are building a lot of decks around, like, searching for, like, being able to draw 5 with one action. So
Yeah.
I think if you can make it so that Jeremiah Kirby card draws you 5, I imagine you can make it so that this draws you 5 and do some crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think that this is actually a pretty easy throw-in to a deck that is built around a trait, and then maybe you will decide to check some of these boxes with some of your experience as you level up, but it's not going to be... I'm not building a deck around a trait just to play Friends in Low Places, right? Like, it just doesn't have...
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the potential to do anything on its own.
Yeah, it helps make your trait decks more consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as all your, if you're looking for illicit cards, as long as they're not all on their own separate deck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you can only pick your main deck.
Yeah, I don't think it would work on an alternate deck. Okay, one more customizable card.
All right, Honed Instinct. This is a 1-cost event. It's a gambit. It is fast. Play after one of the following conditions is met. The agenda or act advances, or you succeed at a skill test by 3 or more. Immediately,
Some two really unrelated events.
Totally. Immediately take an action as if it was your turn, max once per round.
Okay. Where does this play after... So if the agenda advances...
You just get an action.
Do you flip it, resolve its whole B side, do anything that maybe make any changes to the board state that happened from the new agenda, and then this triggers? Like, where in that long sequence of events of an agenda advancing does this actually
would
get play?
think, and I'm not 100%, but I feel 90% certain that you would, like, the agenda advancing would be you flipped it and you've done all the text on the back.
Yeah. That's probably right. It's probably after. Because if you could flip it and then essentially have one action before any of that stuff happens, I think that would be more.
No, I think it's better
right?
if you do. Because, like, if you're going to get an extra action, wouldn't you rather you get the extra action after the boss shows up so you can evade the boss? Rather than, like, you know, you get an extra action to, like, take a credit before the boss shows up?
It depends on what it is. But if what the agenda is about to do is, like, suck the back train car into the sky and you're on it, you would rather have the action first.
Well, I would say if you're getting the action before the card takes effect, you shouldn't be allowed to read the card either.
Valid. Yeah. Okay, how can we customize this?
All right. For 1 XP, you can add a reflex response. So you can also play this after taking a damage or horror.
That does add a lot more opportunities to play it.
Situational awareness. You can also play this after a location enters play or is revealed.
Okay.
Killer instinct. You can also play this after an enemy engages you. That might be my favorite one so far, just because.
Agreed.
You know,
being able to evade right when an enemy hunts onto you seems good.
And then 4th one is after a treachery enters your threat area. And then 5th one is after you play an asset.
Muscle memory. Okay.
And then for 2 XP, during the action granted by Honed Instinct, you get +2 to each of your skills.
Sure.
For 3 XP, Impulse Control. You may include up to 3 copies of Honed Instinct in your deck, and it gets -1 cost. So it goes from 1 to 0.
So I assume there were 3 copies in the box?
Yeah, I think I took one out.
Okay.
And for 5 XP, makes it so you get 2 actions instead of 1, but you have to remove it from the game.
Oh, so you can't come up with some crazy loop.
Yep.
I think this card's bad. None of these are that exciting to me. To ultimately get +1 action at the cost of a card, and unless you buy its discount and a resource.
But think you could get like 7 wild icons with that card that we previewed at the beginning.
This is yet another way to power up the cards that care about how many actions you've taken. It's such a weird concept, like take an action as soon as the agenda or act advances.
I mean,
it's very strange time to do something. And then when you succeed at a skill test of 3 or more, that's maybe more common, but also less predictable, right?
I mean, I think the real comparison is like quick thinking, which costs nothing, and gives you an extra action.
Sure.
Now I think that this is, even if you spend an XP or like, even if you pick 1 or 2 of these extra play conditions, I think quick thinking is still more versatile. You can play this in addition to quick thinking if your deck is just all about getting 1,000,000 actions.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to think of like what the combo would be. So I mean, like I said, you could play that card that gives 1,000,000 wilds plus something like a double or nothing, although that's banned now. I guess you could play it with a shotgun to succeed by 5.
Yeah, that's definitely. You're right. It makes a lot of sense it's another card for that succeed by archetype.
I guess
I don't know the extra action, or if you've spent 5 experience upgrading this 2 actions, it's just it's good, but it's a little for a lot of experience.
Maybe the combo is you play cards that raise your stats for the rest of the turn, like Trial by Fire and Red Glove Man.
Yeah, and there is
try to get like 7 actions.
Is it the Lupara? There's a gun like that has plenty of ammo, but you discard it at the end of the turn.
Yeah. So like there might be a thing out there that like you give yourself 7 actions and you just like win the game or whatever. But yeah, it just seems like part of it with these customizable cards is just that
the strain on me to grok this and consider all the options, it like adds a little bit more to how good I expect the card to be to justify putting myself through all that. Right? Yeah. So I definitely think that's part of it. But I'm excited to see what else we keep doing with these. I love the flavor of them.
Yeah.
I love the flavor of like I have a honed instinct and I can and the way it is honed exactly my instincts are something that I can develop over time.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, what are your final thoughts, conclusive thoughts on Rogue and Scarlet Keys?
I think I am most excited to make a Rita deck.
Yeah, that's you're maybe not wrong. I think Kimani is a cool character that doesn't excite me that much, but I like. What was the name of the Underworld, the permanent card?
Oh yes.
Love that. Very
That's
eager
true.
to try that. I would maybe run that in Tony or something, so you can have a deck of guns and garrote wires and all that stuff.
Yeah. Can Bob take level 2 Rogue?
Yes.
So
No, Bob takes level 1 to 5 Rogue, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can
Okay.
get into the illicit item trade. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
I
fun.
think Rita
Yeah.
and Underworld Market. Those are the two decks I want to build.
Yeah, and I'm with even more support for Chuck Fergus and Tricks. Like I've never really had a good chance to. I think I did it in a standalone game once. Did Chuck Fergus, but I'd like to do an actual deck with that archetype. Yeah, none of that really plays into Kimani for me all that much.
Oh yeah, and I guess maybe Seeker Rogue, Sleight of Friend is the other deck I want to build.
Sleight of Friend. I love that. I'm sure that's original. No one's come up with that for us.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, thank you for watching. Please like and comment. Let us know how your thoughts compare to ours, and that helps our numbers go up on YouTube. And subscribe because we'll be back with another video with Kyle in it. But still, it'll be more Arkham, so still good. In about a week. And until then, thanks for watching and be optimal. Bye. All right. Hi, Kyle. You can speak.
You guys didn't talk about fence the whole time.